Today's video is going to be a very, very interesting one, particularly because we're going to be breaking down one of the biggest bottlenecks and blockers that I see e-commerce brands face when they're trying to get better ad performance and scale their ad spend. And my promise to you today is that if you apply the frameworks that I'm going to share with you in this video, you're going to have a much, much higher likelihood of finding more winning ads on a more consistent basis, which is automatically going to unlock more scale for your business. And what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be using a brand that is doing $50 million every single year in revenue as a reference point for what they're doing and how you can apply that to your own brand as well. Okay, so before we dive in, some proof that I'm qualified to speak on the topic of growing e-commerce brands is what we do every single day for our clients. We help e-commerce brands scale to 8 figures and beyond. The way that we do that is through different done-for-you services across both paid ads acquisition and retention. As you can see here, one of my clients last 90 days just under $2.5 million in revenue, and the specific services that we provide are around paid advertising, media buying, ad creative, CRO, landing pages, but also email marketing and SMS marketing for LTV strategy. So let's get straight into it. The brand that I mentioned is doing $50 million every single year is Qure. We actually went through their landing page on a recent video on my channel. You can check that one out. I'll link it around here, but it's basically their offer page, which is a great example of an optimized landing page and also an optimized offer structure to increase average order value and conversion rate. However, for this video, we're going to go through the ad creatives specifically. So what I want to do is I want to show you some of the ad creatives. We're going to be talking about specific frameworks, because what a lot of brands do is they try to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, right? They have these great brainstorming sessions and they come up with these great ideas, but they throw stuff at the wall and they don't know why something is working or is not working, right? It's kind of like potluck, and sometimes things work, sometimes things don't. And something I like to do with my agency, and just how I like to think about things, is how can we build repeatable processes and systems so that we're not relying on luck, but rather we're relying on a process and a system that is driven to produce an end result that we require. So that's what I'm going to show you today in this video with this performance creative process, and specifically the step-by-step how to actually do that, right? So let's look at some of the ads just to show you the variety, and as we get deeper into this video, you will see the different ad creative styles that we're going to be looking at, how you can actually produce more of these on the back end for your own brand. So what I've done here is I've opened Qure Skincare's ads in a tool called Foreplay. Foreplay is a spy tool that allows you to see the ads the brand is running and much, much more. It goes a lot deeper than the ad library itself, but we can sort by ads that are still running and also ads that have been running for the longest. You see that it's ads been running for almost 2 years here. So as we look at some of the ads that Qure Skincare are running, we can see here before and afters, right? And this is a very interesting way to do a before and after, because they don't actually reveal the after, which I think is a very, very interesting and smart approach, right, to take on before and afters. Now, you don't need to be doing skincare or some kind of like supplement to do before and afters. You can show current state and after state. Maybe let's say you're selling a nice sofa, right? You might want to show like a current sofa that is not modern at all, and you want to show your sofa on the other side. It's not the best example, but I think you can get what I mean, where it doesn't always have to be something so like transformational and visual as like skincare or losing weight. You can get creative with that before and after, or current state and after state, which is another way to frame that before and after. By the way, if you're a new viewer here, my name is Jordan Hayes. I actually run a marketing agency where we help e-commerce brands scale their revenue profitably. Now, if you're running an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month in revenue, and you're facing challenges with scale, maybe your ads or your funnel is not working as well as it used to or should be, or even if it's just a lack of time and resource to put into scaling this part of the business, then that's exactly what we help with. So down below this video, there'll be a link to book a call with me. We'll have a conversation about your business, learn more about the challenges, your objectives, and see if there's a fit for us to work together. Worst case scenario, I can provide some insights as we're seeing with our other clients to help you in your current stage of your business. And as I mentioned, this is for brands who are doing at least 100K per month in revenue, and they need help with scaling and obviously want to scale profitably. And in the way in which we help brands scale is we provide services across both customer acquisition and customer retention, done-for-you services which are completely hands-off. We take care of everything for you. And that includes media buying, CRO, landing pages, ad creative, email marketing, SMS marketing, overall growth strategy, lifetime value optimization, all that stuff, okay? So with that said, let's get back to the video. So here's my skin before treatment, and you won't believe the results, right? It's also in like, it's saying it like first person, which is interesting as well. And then, they have this like product placement and this review down here as well, which is pretty cool. So one thing like this is what we like to do is we like to look at what these competitors are running. What we do for our own clients is like, hey, let's try and take this specific framework of image ad and let's apply that to our own clients, right? And let's see if we can get something to work from there. So this is just like one image ad framework that we could take and apply. And of course, there's tons and tons of ways you can do this. And actually, maybe by the time we're recording this video, there'll be a link below to actually access a full dashboard on Notion, where one of the links there is the top 1% Facebook ad libraries. So if you're watching this video, maybe it's there. You can go down and check it out. But that's just a way to source more ideas from different brands, all right? So let's continue looking at the ads here.
Qure's microinfusion is not a dermal roller, so does it?
Okay, so this is obviously a video ad. And we find that video ads are much more likely to carry more ad spend over time. This one right here, you can see that the hook is dragging people in who have tried derma rollers before, and obviously they're selling a product that, a failed solution or an alternative to their product is a derma roller. So by showing that, they're attracting the audience they want, and they're repelling an audience that wouldn't stop and watch this video, but that's okay.
The drag across the skin. Qure has developed a sterile and effective
So this ad right here is one that is answering direct objections, right? So it's a great way to come up with ad ideas. Just look at your FAQs, look at the objections that customers have when they're not buying your products, some limiting beliefs, and then you can reframe those as ads. So this one right here is Qure's, this headline right here, Qure's microinfusion is not a derma roller, and then we go into stating the difference, right?
This microinfusion is not a dermal roller, so it doesn't drag across the skin. Qure has developed a sterile and
Okay, so we're introducing the product.
effective device for safely traumatizing the skin. Gentle trauma stimulates collagen and helps
And then demo works very well, right? So actually show how the product works.
the texture and fine lines, and it's a much better way to maintain anything you do in the office safely at home. I noticed an improvement in pore size, texture, and complexion.
This will definitely work to help your products penetrate better. By creating a little bit of an opening in the skin, you're able to introduce ingredients more effectively.
Okay, so this is also, there's notice the authority here, right? They started with this doctor, if you look at the top right, Dr. Prem, and then they're going into this other doctor here, which is a very well-known Dr. Shah, and then Dr. Alexandra, and then, so on and so forth, right? So they're obviously using a lot of authority here as well. Okay, so you see the same thing here, where they're comparing themselves to derma rolling. Derma rolling, okay, right? It's like, a lot of people think it's like a new trend, but it's actually like they're drawing the line in the sand, it's creating this polarizing effect. It's one of the frameworks that we like to use is how do we take like a conventional thing and flip it on its head? And that creates cognitive dissonance, right? It doesn't feel right. It's like I need to watch on to learn like what the end is here. Right? It's creating curiosity. Like what are they going to say next? So very interesting to display that on a banana, right? But I think it just adds a different dimension. Whereas people are used to seeing like people applying things on their faces. Using like a banana, using something else, it's a little bit random, but stops the scroll and keeps a little bit of engagement is important.
Is so much more safer, more effective, and so much better for your skin.
This is the Qure microinfusion system.
Okay, so like another mashup here. So mashups, have worked well for them. Obviously, they're running a few different mashups. Of course, they're using these dermatologists as well, which, if you can use authority in your ads, it works. It's one of the principles of persuasion. Authority sells, right? And it creates trust, which, people need to trust you and trust what you're selling in order to like, make that purchasing decision. So this one right here is a 3 things, 3 ways, 3 reasons. This is one of my favorite frameworks, similar to a listicle landing page where it's so easy to execute, but it is designed so well to educate the consumers on specifically your solution. And there's tons of ways you can go about this. 3 things, 3 ways, 3 reasons. And just think about like you can do ones that are product framed, you could do ones that are problem framed, you could do ones that are solution framed, right? Different ways you can go about it, and you can create multiple different angles just with this simple ad framework alone. So the reason why this is very, very simple is because you just use that as a hook, like 3 ways, 3 reasons, 3 things, and then you just go through each of the reasons, right? You can expand as much as you want on each of the reasons, but the whole idea here is that you don't need someone to be speaking, like you can use, even if you want a voiceover, you can use AI voiceover from 11 Labs. And then what you do for the video is you just have B-roll of people using the product, people trying the product, and even like failed solutions as well, depends what you're talking about.
Great.
So that's definitely an ad creative framework that I would apply, start testing today.
8 weeks are super quick. In a 5-minute session, you can microneedle your entire face. Hey guys, done.
Right, so like another dermatologist and addressing an objection around maybe the time-consuming aspect of it, right? Where this microneedling device, I'm gonna have to spend some time on it. But again, like how do we take objections, common objections, and turn those into ad creatives, right? Each of these things could be its own angle and its own, we can create tons of ad creatives just from those angles, right? So we're able to brainstorm. But the key here is that within our performance creative process, and what we're doing is we're building creatives with frameworks. If I just show you some of the frameworks here, we have like problematic state solution, 3 reasons, 3 ways we spoke about, how I X without Y, how I went from this to this. And the whole key here is that when you're writing the script, you're fitting it in to these ad frameworks, okay? So if I show you some examples here of a problematic state solution, we start with the hook, then we agitate the problem, we go deeper into the root cause of the problem, we add in some education, product introduction, benefit 1, benefit 2, benefit 3. So you see that there's a structure here. And the reason why we do the structure is because otherwise, when it comes to the analysis phase, we're actually looking at the ROAS CPA, the hook rate, the hold rate. We want to know specifically what areas of the ad creative and, specifically these blocks within the framework are working versus not working, right? We can look at the retention graphs, as we can see here, and look at the engagement and drop off and say, okay, we're getting a lot of drop off around here. Why is that, right? Let's look at the 4, 5, 6 second mark and see if there's something there that we can change. Maybe it's the visual, maybe we're introducing the product too quickly and people are saying like, this is an ad, I need to scroll. What I want to instill and show you guys here is a scientific process to ad creative and getting away from that mindset of like, let's just throw stuff at the wall and whatever sticks, to more like, how can we build ads that are made to scale, but also ones that we can very forensically analyze with data. And then the key here is iterations, right? So the key to this process, if I just show you this chart right here, is that yes, we start with research, we come up with angles, we do the creatives, we test, we get data, but the iteration process is one of the most important parts of this, because by iterating, we are taking an ad that maybe is good, but is not a winner, and we're changing some elements of that, right? Maybe we change the hook, maybe we change something in the middle, and by doing that, we are iterating and creating a better version of that ad so that when we test it again, it has a higher likelihood of performing. So the iteration phase is key to basically getting, like, every time you do the cycle of a performance creative optimization cycle, where you build creatives, you test, you analyze, every time you go through this, you should be getting better at producing winner ads and finding those winning ads, because the more you do this, the more data you have, the more iterations you're creating, the closer you're getting to that higher win ratio.
Worried that micro infusions will hurt? Let us put your mind at ease. Made from hollow 0.5.
So this ad right here that I'm about to show you is a perfect example of another objection handling ad, right?
Worried that micro infusions will hurt?
Right, worried that micro infusions will hurt. So this is for people who are already product aware. They already know what micro infusion is. Otherwise, they're not gonna, like, people who don't are just gonna scroll past this, right? But this ad is built for that specific stage of awareness. So if we're looking at stages of market awareness, there's 5 stages in every market, right? You have people who are unaware, and then you have people who are the most aware, and in between, you have product aware, solution aware, and then you have problem aware. And you wanna create ads and you wanna appeal to different stages, because if you try and speak to everyone, you're gonna speak to no one. So that ad right there that we saw, that the hook is talking about micro infusion, they're already aware of what micro infusion is. They're already aware that, you know, you can get products that micro infusion at home. And the big question that that audience specifically has is they have some objections around will it hurt, as we saw the time before, right? Like, how long is it going to take? And we can see here that this again is just overcoming that objection.
Let us put your mind at ease. Made from hollow 0.5 millimeters, 24 karat gold needles, which is finer than human hair. You will barely feel them.
So you can see here how they're answering those objections. What I would do here is, like, just another like creative idea is show don't tell. And show don't tell is such a powerful way to sell, because it's demo. You don't need to say anything, you just need to show how it works, and there's a much more powerful way of selling. So what you could do here, like this with this same example of does it hurt? Maybe the creator could take the product and they could go up to their husband without them knowing and like stick it in their arm, right? And the husband doesn't even like flinch because it doesn't hurt. So you're showing that this thing that has like microneedling does not hurt at all, because like we just showed you. Another thing is, like, you've seen how maybe you get like a balloon and you put the microneedles against it and it doesn't pop the balloon, right? Like, you want to be careful there, because obviously if they go into the balloon, it's going to pop the balloon. But I think you get, like, if you follow my train of thought here, is like, how do we show this rather than just say it, right? Because that is going to be a much more powerful way for the customer to believe what we are showing.
Looking for a product to give you that ultimate and intense hydration?
Okay, so this is like classic like TikTok voice, right? And this has been running for over a year. So obviously they created this when that was still trending, but you can see that the hook is, you know, looking for a product to give you the ultimate and intense hydration, right? This is like very, very simple. Like, if you're looking for this, you know, watch this video kind of thing. So this framework and approach is very, very common, where, you know, if you're looking for a product to do X, you know, watch this video.
I couldn't believe.
So there's another approach to creating ads that I want to talk about today, and one that Qure is doing very well is they're using creators and talking about first person, right? Like, I couldn't believe it. I did this, and like I was suffering from this, and this is my outcome. Because rather than like preaching to people saying like you're doing this wrong and you should be doing this, like if you use more first person, people are more likely to listen to other people's stories and be influenced by those stories, rather than me just sitting there and saying like you need to do this, you need to do that. People are less likely to listen. But if I say I suffered from this problem with skin, I tried everything, I tried this, this, and this, derma rolling, whatever. And I was skeptical about buying this product because I thought it would hurt, but then I saw their ads and I read some of the FAQs and customer reviews. It didn't hurt. I tried it, and within 2 weeks, my skin cleared up. I couldn't believe it, right? That is a much more powerful way than saying, if you're suffering from this problem, you need this product because X, Y, Z, right? That can still work, but you can just see how the frame is shifted and how someone is much more likely to be receptive to the first one. This is an ad that follows that same framework.
I couldn't believe it. After my first treatment, I noticed reduced fine lines and brighter skin. For best results, apply once every 2 weeks. I finished my 3-month supply and stocked up on more serum. The results are visible and so impressive. My skin has a new glow to it.
So if you're selling something like this, of course, social proof is king, right? Anything like supplements, skincare, you know, anything that you're promising an outcome, like show that outcome, right? Show, and also be like, the better you can get those before and afters, the more shocking you can get them, the more likely is you are to hold attention.
Discovered it from the Dr. Lee YouTube channel. They recommend it as it's safe, effective, and gives visible results.
Okay, so also like product discovery, like where you found the product, is an important part, and it's actually one of the blocks that we use in some of the frameworks, because how do you make it come across as authentic as possible? Even if the ad creative script is written by you and it's designed with direct response, which, you know, it should be, is what we do in my agency, where we take, you know, once we get to the stage of actually doing our research and identifying those angles and choosing the ad framework to actually write the script, right? And we use these direct response principles such as intensification, visualizing customer avatar, speak to pain points, desires, and, you know, getting them to take action now. in order to build ads that really scale and sell, you need these elements. And product discovery is an important part, because if you just say like, yeah, I found the product on social media, like, no, like be specific about where you found it. Like a friend told me about it after she went through the same experience, or, I found it on the Dr. Lee YouTube channel, as we just saw in this ad right here.
It's the closest thing to bringing your esthetician home with you. Each serum has a ton of benefits. The first is the rejuvenating.
Okay, so then we're going into the benefits. All right, so again, just another like simple ad framework that you can apply to your own brand.
Fed up to waking up to new fine lines. Here's what I do to...
Okay, so this is another example of that first person, right? Fed up with waking up to new fine lines is a common objection, right? You're meeting the customer where they're at the same conversation that they're having in their mind. And then here's how I get over that, right? Here's how I solve X problem.
Fed up to waking up to new fine lines. Here's what I do to reduce the signs of aging without visiting the clinic.
Without, right? So a great formula for headlines that the big advertising agencies follow is you make the claim, and then without, and then you insert effort and sacrifice, right? So how can you achieve the desired outcome without the effort and sacrifice, right? So without visiting the clinic, how can I battle the process of aging without visiting the clinic, without spending hundreds of dollars, without having to spend 20 minutes a day on my skin?
The clinic. If you're a busy mom in your 50s like me, I want to share my secret to...
So you can see how like native this is to the platform, right? Like it's raw talking to the camera, it's not high production, and they're calling out the audience. If you're a mom in your 50s, and of course they've already, like people who are watching this ad to this point, even like 8 seconds in, it's, you're going to lose a lot of people before then. So as we saw at the start of the video, like waking up to new fine lines. If you're not waking up to new fine lines, if fine lines aren't in your mind, then you're going to scroll past this video. But that's fine. What we want to do with these hooks is you want to attract and be a magnet to our audience. We also want to repel who is not going to be interested in that message, right? Because with Meta, we're paying per impression, and the more right audience that we get to watch our ads, the more the Meta is going to learn and show them to more right audiences, right? That's really how the optimization process works. So the last format of ad that you should consider is podcast style ads, right? And podcast style ads are great because it is another way to prove and show authority. Now, authority doesn't always have to be in the form of dentists, doctors, nutritionists. It doesn't always have to be someone in that regard, right? It could be someone who runs a podcast, because if you own a podcast, you run a podcast, you host a podcast, you by effect have authority, because there's a reason why people are listening to you on that specific subject. So what you should do is you should try and get on some podcasts. It's great for like podcast advertising, but you can also use those as ad content and clips, as you can see with this one right here.
What's your best advice for women?
It's a very engaging style of ad creative because it fits in well with very native content, right? It disguises it as an ad creative. So that's it for actually looking at the ads. And I've already gone through some of this already, but I want to go deeper into the research process, where we use a range of different sources to get research. Now, the research is arguably one of the most important parts of the process, because it really sets the scene and the tone for the angles that you're going to use and the scripts you're going to use. So what we like to do is we like to look at foreplay, as I just mentioned. We can just type in skincare and we can get all these like skincare brands that, maybe we wouldn't even know of, right? And now we're able to see which ads, which brands are doing the best, which ones are running the ads the longest, and what can we take and apply from them, as we saw in this video as well. Reddit is also a great way to find information. People are very open, usually it's anonymous, so they share open information about their, in detail about their problems and their solutions and the failed solutions. So it's a perfect place to get information, and videos as well, like what's being posted on YouTube, and of course TikTok, and you can find information on Instagram as well. But really what we want to see is like, what are people using, right? Skincare routine in your 50s, like what are people also responding to, right? What's getting views, what's getting comments, what's getting engagement? From there, we use ChatGPT just to synthesize all this information, meaning we have all this information. We also extract customer reviews, right? We ask AI to help us build customer avatars. We use it for data processing, as I mentioned. We input a lot of information in ChatGPT, and we ask it to extract the specific points that would be relevant to us, and also competitor analysis as well. We put everything into a research document, we build those customer avatars, and then we identify what are the pain points specifically that our customers are facing. What are the core human desires? We look at the Life Force 8 core human desires. The Life Force 8 is basically 8 core desires we have as human beings that are hardwired into our brains. So the more of those that we can identify and use in our ads, the more powerful our messaging is going to be. Then we identify how a product can solve the problem, and of course the stage of market awareness, as we went through earlier in this video as well. From there, we come up with the angles, right? So really the research is this foundation, right? You do that, you identify these things that we just went through, and then you come up with the angles. Angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4. And by the way, with one angle, you can create tons and tons of ad creatives under that angle. The angle is the big idea, right? It's the overarching idea. So for example, one angle that we saw here is derma rolling, right? Like one thing that we saw over and over again was how they position their brand and their ads against derma rolling. And that could be a specific angle. How is Qure microinfusion better than derma rolling, right? That is one angle, right? And of course, we can create tons of ads. We choose the frameworks, we could apply that to all these frameworks and more. I'll have another video coming out soon on my channel that goes through the specific ad frameworks that we use. So you can just take them and plug them into your own business and start creating ads with those specifically. But here are some, we went through, ones on the top already. But did you know, like less aware education, like did you know XYZ? Stop conventional solution. If you're tired of X, watch this. And why I'm throwing away the failed solution for this. To go through some more like expanded ones, 3 reasons, 3 ways. We spoke a little about this as well, but you introduce reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, product introduction or education, social proof, authority, and then you have your CTA at the end. And then this before and after is how I went from this to this. This is a very powerful and very easy one to execute as well. But you start with the problem, then you talk about discovery, product introduction, unique mechanism of the product, what makes your product and the solution specifically different to other products on the market. Benefit 1, you talk about benefit 2, social proof, end result, guarantee, and then CTA. Now, none of these are like set in stone. You know, you can obviously use different blocks, you can switch some things around, but for the most part is how do we hook people in and how do we keep people engaged by not introducing the product too early, where it's like we're trying to sell something, but rather meeting them where they're at in the conversation, having it in their mind, and making them feel understood, agitating the problem, going deeper into the pain, introducing a solution that they've not likely seen before that's interesting, and backing that up with proof. And then from there, we can talk more about the features and benefits of the product specifically once we have that buy-in from the viewer. So that's it for this video. Hopefully this was helpful in understanding how we can improve the ad creative process to be more scientific so that we can find more winning ad creatives on a more consistent basis. If you are looking for something like this for your own business, to not just handle ad creative, but also media buying and other areas of your business, then there'll be a link below this video. You can book a call with me. We'll have a conversation about the current challenges you're facing in your business and see if there's a fit for us to work together. All right, that is it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.